There is a version of today that most Leos will never notice, and a version that a few of you are about to live through whether you are ready or not. Somewhere between a conversation you almost dismiss and a trip you almost do not take, something in your inner architecture shifts. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will understand exactly why today feels heavier and lighter at the same time. Let us start with the slow-moving story, because it explains everything else. For a while now, Neptune has been drifting through your ninth house, the zone tied to foreign places, foreign people, and the beliefs that hold your worldview together. Saturn has been keeping it company there, and at times Chiron joins them too. In Western tropical astrology, this house rules more than passports and plane tickets. It rules the philosophies you live by. With dissolving Neptune and structuring Saturn both parked here, the message is not subtle. Something about how you see the world, or someone from a different world than yours, is asking you to rebuild your framework. Not redecorate it. Rebuild it. Layered on top of that long transit is something more immediate. Mercury, the planet of thought and communication, is currently sitting in your 12th house, the most private, unconscious corner of your chart. This is a shorter transit, weeks rather than years, but it makes you unusually porous right now. You may have noticed yourself absorbing other people's moods like a sponge, finishing their sentences emotionally before they even speak. That is not imagination. That is Mercury doing exactly what it does in this hidden house. And then there is the fastest moving piece, the moon, which today is doing something genuinely busy. It begins in expansive, socially electric Aquarius, glides into intuitive, boundary-blurring Pisces, where it lands in your 8th house of shared resources and deep trust, and later fires into bold, restless Aries and your 9th house, the same house holding that Neptune-Saturn story we just discussed. 3 lunar chapters in one day. That is rare, and it is the engine behind almost everything you will feel between sunrise and midnight. Here is what almost every generic horoscope misses about a day like this. They will tell you about love, then career, then money, as if they are unrelated. They are not. Every single one of these threads today is being pulled by the same 8th house, 9th house, 12th house triangle. Watch how it plays out. Early in the day, while the moon still carries that Aquarius lightness, you may notice yourself unusually open to people you would not normally cross paths with. Many Leos with this kind of lunar placement report meeting someone who feels instantly familiar, someone who shares more in common with you than the setting would suggest. This is not destiny sealed in stone. It is an energetic opening, and openings still require you to walk through them. If you are single, this window between roughly 9 and 10:30 in the morning tends to carry the most favorable charge. So if there is a conversation you have been putting off, that is your window. But the picture shifts once the moon moves into Pisces and your 8th house. This is where trust gets tested, not through some dramatic betrayal, but through a small detail. Maybe it is a number that does not quite add up, or a feeling that someone is either overgiving or under-explaining. At the same moment, Venus is sitting in your 2nd house of personal values, and the two are in direct opposition. That is an important tension. Your emotional intuition wants closeness, but your practical values want clarity. Take a breath here, because this next part matters more than it sounds. Do not use charm, generosity, or reassurance you cannot actually back up to smooth over that discomfort. Ask the plain question. Check the actual numbers. A prettier story will feel better for an hour and cost you more later. This is where 2 different threads of the day quietly explain each other. That psychic sponge sensitivity from Mercury in your 12th house is exactly what makes the 8th house trust question so loud right now. You are already absorbing more than usual, so a small inconsistency in someone else's story lands on you like a shout instead of a whisper. Once you see that connection, the discomfort makes a lot more sense, and it stops feeling like an overreaction. Now, here is the turn nobody's talking about. Later in the day, The moon leaves that emotionally saturated eighth house behind and fires into Aries, landing in your ninth house, the very house where Neptune and Saturn have been doing their long, quiet work. Suddenly, the mood shifts from murky to direct. This is the moment where perspective returns. You can zoom out. Pride, which was ready to grab the wheel over that earlier money or trust question, gets a chance to step back. Many people with this transit report feeling a sudden urge to speak with blunt honesty, to cut through the noise and just say the true thing. That instinct is useful, but it comes with a warning label. Not everyone can absorb a direct hit gracefully today. If you are going to deliver hard truths, choose the friends and partners who have thicker skin and a better sense of humor about themselves. Save the raw version for people who can actually receive it. If you are watching this and you have felt torn between wanting deep connection and wanting total independence lately, pay close attention to what is coming next, because this is the part of the day that ties your love life and your work life together in a way you might not expect. On the romantic side, that same Aries-fueled ninth house restlessness shows up as an appetite for adventure rather than routine. A dinner reservation suddenly feels boring. A spontaneous day trip, a new class, a slightly reckless date idea, these feel far more appealing right now. Here's the catch. Someone you are pursuing this with may need more lead time than you do. Do not read their hesitation as disinterest. Offer the idea, then let them help shape it instead of dragging them along behind your enthusiasm. Shared excitement lasts. Borrowed excitement fades by dinner. Meanwhile, wounds tied to family, old ones, patterns you have carried longer than you would like to admit, feel unusually ready to loosen their grip today. That is not a coincidence with the eighth house trust work happening earlier. Releasing an old wound and rebuilding present-day trust are, quietly, the same lesson wearing two different outfits. On the professional side, that long-running Neptune and Saturn story in your ninth house keeps nudging you toward a different way of operating altogether, maybe something involving international connections, remote work, digital platforms, or simply a mindset shift about what success even means to you. The energy today favors trying an approach that better fits who you are becoming, not who you used to be. We will come back to what this means for your finances in a moment. But first, it is worth noting that whatever escape or outlet you have leaned on lately, whether that is a hobby, a scroll through your phone, or something bigger, may be doing more emotional work for you right now than you have given it credit for. That is worth sitting with rather than judging. Speaking of finances, this is where the Venus and eighth house tension from earlier becomes very practical. Shared resources, joint accounts, a favor involving money. Any of these could surface today, and the instruction stays the same. Verify before you soothe. This is not a day for grand financial gestures meant to prove loyalty. It is a day for spreadsheets, honest conversations, and quiet clarity. The relief comes once you realize that facing the number directly resolves the discomfort faster than avoiding it ever could. Here is what makes today genuinely rare, and it is the piece worth remembering long after this reading ends. 3 separate timescales are all pointing the same direction at once. Your slow multi-year story about rebuilding your worldview, your weeks-long sensitivity phase, and your single day's emotional weather all converge on one theme: learning the difference between the truth that protects a relationship and the story that only postpones a problem. Most people will experience today as a string of unrelated small events. You now know it is one story wearing several costumes. That single realization is the thing worth remembering from this entire reading. With that in mind, your physical and emotional health today respond well to lightening your load rather than adding to it. Many Leos will benefit from easing back on sugar. Since your system seems to be recalibrating and heavier, sweeter foods may leave you sluggish rather than comforted. Old family patterns are surfacing. Journaling or a quiet walk can help you process them, without needing to solve everything in one sitting. Some Vedic practitioners might suggest Saturn-related remedies, certain mantras, or specific gemstones for individuals whose birth charts show particular affliction or support for them, but that kind of prescription genuinely requires a full personal chart reading. It is not something to adopt simply because you share a sun sign with someone else. What is universally safe, though, is wearing warm gold tones today. They align nicely with your solar nature and the day's more auspicious lunar window in the earlier morning hours. On the social and family front, expect a pull in two directions: outward toward new people and lighter connection, and inward toward old, tender material that wants acknowledgement rather than analysis. Both are valid uses of your energy today. If a family conversation surfaces something old, you do not have to resolve it in one sitting. You only have to let it be seen. As for travel, even a short outing carries more weight than usual, less about the destination and more about what shifts inside you while you are away from your normal environment. If you can manage a brief getaway with someone you care about, even a modest one, the day supports it. This ties directly back to that long ninth house story we opened with, the sense that your relationship to the wider world is quietly being renegotiated. One small trip or one honest conversation at a time. If you are looking for the day's quick reference details, your most favorable window falls between roughly 9 and 10:30 in the morning, and gold remains your color of alignment. So here is where all of this actually lands for you. Check the number instead of accepting the charm. Offer the adventure, but let someone else help build it instead of dragging them into it. Say the honest thing, but choose your audience with care. And when an old family wound loosens its grip today, let it, rather than immediately trying to explain it away. None of this requires a dramatic leap, just a series of small, honest choices strung together across one unusually layered day. That is really what astrology at its best is offering you, not a prediction carved in stone, but a mirror held up at the right moment. If today's reading felt like it was speaking directly to something you have been quietly carrying, that is worth sitting with, and it is worth coming back for tomorrow's chapter, because this story is far from finished.